Hey everyone! Before we get into the story, don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more real-life stories you won't want to miss. We were at my sister's birthday dinner, a fancy spot downtown Chicago where everything sparkled. The walls, the glasses, even the people pretending their lives were perfect. Everyone dressed like it was a mini wedding. Suits, heels, shimmering dresses. The energy was loud, chaotic, full of jokes, stories, and wine flowing everywhere. And right beside me sat my husband Daniel. Calm, composed, a stark contrast to the chaos around him. He carried himself like he didn't need attention to be noticed, sitting tall, listening carefully, smiling politely, adding small comments here and there. Compared to my sister's loud friends and their dramatic antics, he almost seemed invisible. Maybe that's why a foolish part of me wanted to provoke him, just to see some reaction, some spark of emotion, some flash of the bold, loud man these kinds of dinners always seem to highlight. I didn't realize how badly I would regret it. It all started when the conversation turned to romance and relationship effort. My sister's newly engaged friend gushed about her fiancé like he was a prince from a storybook. Monthly trips, handwritten letters, massages, flowers delivered to her office. Other couples joined in, laughing, teasing, and comparing their own gestures. Someone asked my sister's friend, "Who's the most romantic guy at this table?" She squealed and pointed at her fiancé, and the table erupted in applause. Then someone, God knows who, turned to me and asked, half joking, "So, how's your husband doing keeping you happy?" It was meant to be lighthearted. I could have smiled and said, "He's amazing," and moved on. But something inside me, ego, insecurity, maybe just stupidity, pushed me to answer in the worst way possible. I raised my wine glass, smirked, and said loud enough for the entire table to hear, "Honestly, I think I need a new husband." The laughter was instant, but forced, uneasy, the kind people use when they're unsure whether to laugh or gasp. I felt the awkwardness but didn't stop. I made it worse. I tapped Daniel's shoulder and said, "Seriously, if anyone knows a guy who actually listens and takes initiative, send him my way." The change was immediate. My sister's face went stiff. She knew I'd crossed a line. Her fiancé looked away. One of her friends bit her lip nervously. And Daniel, he just stared at me. Not with anger, not with hurt, but with a coldness I had never seen before. A silence settled over the table that felt heavy and dangerous. He slowly set down his fork, deliberate, calm, unfazed. When he spoke, his voice was low, steady, sharper than I'd ever heard. "Well," he said, "if you're taking applications, I'll gladly free up the position tonight." The restaurant fell silent. Every sound, the clinking of plates, the background music, nearby chatter, seemed to vanish. You could hear a pin drop. He leaned back, eyes fixed on me, still icy. "You joke about needing a new husband," he continued. "But maybe you should think about why your husband stopped trying in the first place." Someone across the table gasped quietly. My heart slammed against my chest. His words weren't loud, but they cut deeper than anything I'd ever felt. He went on. "You've spent so long mocking, belittling, turning everything into a joke. Eventually, people stop participating in your games. If you think disrespect makes you funny, it's no wonder you're looking for replacements. You don't know how to value what you have." I tried to speak. My voice shook. "Daniel, I was just..." He raised a hand gently. That gesture silenced me instantly. "No," he said. "Stop. You weren't joking." You meant it enough to say it in public." He sipped his water calmly, then added in a tone so controlled it was terrifying. "You've embarrassed me before, but tonight, you embarrassed yourself more than you realize." My sister went pale. Her friend whispered, "Holy wow." Even the waiter froze, pretending nothing had happened. And me? I felt the blood drain from my face. I had never seen Daniel like this, not in all our years together. He wasn't angry. He was done. And that truth hit me like a stone in my stomach. He stood up. No slamming, no dramatic gestures, nothing theatrical. He adjusted his jacket, placed his napkin beside his plate, and looked at me with finality in his eyes. "You want a new husband," he said quietly. "Good. Because after tonight, you won't have to pretend anymore." My throat tightened. "Daniel, please." He didn't fully turn to me. He just said, "That's the problem. You only say please when the damage is already done." Then he walked out. No yelling, no dramatic scene. Just a quiet, devastating exit. The table sat frozen for nearly a minute. My sister stared at me in disbelief. Her fiancé muttered, "Damn, he really meant that." Someone else whispered, "Why would you say that to him?" I shrank in my chair, heat burning my face, as the reality hit me. I had pushed the one person who had always stood by me. I mocked the man who had supported me through everything. I had turned him into a joke. And he finally stopped letting me. The restaurant noise slowly returned. But the shame didn't fade. It only grew heavier. Daniel's cold, final words weren't just a clapback. They were a breaking point. One I had created with my own carelessness. And for the first time, I realized I might have actually lost him.